we're going to dive in here. Dealing with failure. I love this little animated GIF. Has anyone seen this before?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been colorized, so that's fun. What? Anyone know what it is? What are we looking at? Yeah, Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
The Tacoma Narrows Bridge is a resonance frequency.
Yeah, what happened after this GIF?
The bridge collapsed.
The bridge collapsed. This was actually a very famous, was a groundbreaking new bridge built in Seattle, well, south of Seattle, and it was built and opened in 1940. And when the Tacoma Narrows is this interesting, there's a lot of mountains and things in the region, and there's a lot of wind. Winds can go up to 35, 40 miles an hour fairly frequently, but those aren't, I mean, that's not enough wind to break steel, right? That's not that much wind. This would happen from time to time. This was happening like once or twice a month. People thought it was pretty amusing, so someone set up a camera and recorded it. And in fact, they were recording it the day that it happened and the bridge literally snapped in half and collapsed. No one was injured, which is very fortunate. How did this happen, you might ask? Well, it was the phenomenon of resonance, which had never actually been studied in engineering before. No one had realized this was a thing that could happen. This is a thing that can happen. And a whole new fields, subfields have opened up in engineering and architecture because of this event. I love that story because it's a way of recasting a fairly catastrophic failure into a learning experience, right? The field of bridge building has grown immensely because of this disaster. So I love that sort of framework. So real quick, in your notebook, just 30 seconds, I want you to pick a subject. You can use one of these 5 or you can pick another one. And I want you to fill in the sentence. Studying computer science is like studying whatever other subject because, and then put down a reason. Go ahead, write something down. Doesn't have to be super deep. All right, finish up what you're writing. And Bashir, get your microphone ready. Winnie Chen, would you mind sharing what you wrote? Where is Winnie? Right over here in the front. Thank you, Winnie.
I didn't think I'd be called on. I wrote, studying CS is like a foreign language because you stare at gibberish for a while, but then things start to make sense.
Fantastic. You stare at gibberish for a while, then they start to make sense. How about Lawrence? Way in the back there. Oh, I have a microphone over here too. That's convenient.
I said studying CS is like music because it takes a lot of practice, even if you have like a natural born talent at it.
I love that practice. Oh, Wayne. Wayne left. All right, that's all right. He's a 3-year veteran with us now, so he didn't have to be here in the first place. David. David Ha. Over there.
I put studying computer science is a lot like woodworking because there are no 2 pieces of wood that are exactly the same, and the tools that you have can be used and even combined to solve different kinds of problems.
I could literally stand here all day and just call in every single one of you and probably get a whole bunch of really awesome answers. Is there anyone who did writing? Anyone who wants to share their answer for writing, maybe?
Sure. I said studying CS is like writing because there are many ways to express the same thing.
Fantastic. Awesome. Anyone, we can take 2 more. Anyone just dying to share their comparison? Namrata would like to share, and then I saw Dan's hand first, so we'll go with Dan.
It's like writing because it has sentences, structure, syntax, and vocabulary.
Fantastic. Absolutely. These are all right, by the way, right? Like, these are all fantastic comparisons to draw. And we can do both Dan and what's your name also? Samantha. We can do Dan and Samantha, since they're sitting right next to each other.
Studying CS is like raising a child because there's no understanding of nuance and you have to be very explicit and pedantic in your instructions.
Excellent. And Samantha?
I don't know if I can beat home wrecking, but studying computer science is like studying home economics because you're making a program cake out of function ingredients.
Love it. Love it. All right. Thank you. You guys are super creative. So the point here, obviously, is that there are many, many parallels and connections we can draw between computer science and other subjects. At the same time, CS is a bit different from what most teachers and students have probably been doing for most of their academic careers. In computer science, there is no single right answer, kind of like writing often in the humanities philosophy. But unlike those answers, there are wrong answers. The subjects, there are wrong answers, right? It's not entirely open-ended. Your code compiles or it doesn't. It gives you the correct output or it doesn't, right? You're rarely going to be right the first time. But again, it's clear if you're right or wrong usually. And for most students, these are going to be brand new concepts. By high school, students are doing the same subjects they've been doing since elementary school. They know, they have an idea of what an English class will be like, what a math class will be like, what a science class will be like. But they don't necessarily have any conception of what a computer science class is supposed to be like. And they have high expectations for themselves because we are all digital natives at this point, at least in this room. We are surrounded by apps and technology all the time. And those things are built by multi-billion-dollar corporations that have huge resources. We have high expectations for what an app should be able to do. But when a student walks into class on day one and you have them build their first piece of code, it's not going to be what they are hoping, right? So they're walking in already with a high bar for themselves, even though it's brand new. So this is a little bit different from what else they're studying. This is where we need to bring in the concept of growth mindset. Raise your hand if you're already familiar with growth mindset. This is a pretty popular concept by this point. Schools are using it a lot. Corporate trainings you might sit in are using it a lot. It's an incredibly powerful concept. I love it. I think it is transformational in how I look at the world since I've learned about this concept. Very put simply, Carol Dweck is the researcher who proposed this idea about 20 years ago. Growth mindset is the belief that rather than being fixed or innate, abilities can be acquired through study and effort. I love the music example, right? Right? Got to practice. Practice is how you learn things. And I knew that as a child because I was studying piano since the age of 5. And I knew that if I wanted to be able to play that piece of music, I was going to have to practice it. But in school, I didn't have to practice. A lot of the subjects in school came easy to me. My parents did a lot of enrichment activities with me outside of school. I was usually above grade level. And so I was used to just being able to sit in school, pay attention, do my homework, and get it right. Then I got to biology. 10th grade honors biology with Mrs. Sheridan. I got a B on the first test. Yeah, I know. Sucks to be me, right? I got a B on the first test. Hated the class. Rest of the year, checked out. Couldn't stand it. This class is stupid. That was my reaction. I felt that way for years, right? Biology is a dumb subject. Who needs that anyway? Right? Seriously, that was how I felt about it. In retrospect, I understand that, like Daniela, Nathaniel had not been taught study skills for a class of this difficulty. I had never had to develop coping mechanisms for facing hard content in class. I did not have a growth mindset about school, even though I had it about practicing the piano. So it's a really powerful concept, and students are going to walk in with certain frames in their head. And part of your job as the instructor is going to be to steer them towards a growth mindset. Most things are not a silver bullet. A growth mindset is kind of a bit of a panacea. It is one concept that can bring together a lot of the ideas we've been talking about today. Here are some examples of, on the bottom, symptoms that you might see from a student. And we've connected them to some underlying mindsets that student might be feeling. This is me, the first one's me. I'm a good student, I should be better at this. I was frustrated, I didn't ask for help, I didn't cheat. I don't think I cheated, maybe I did. I really don't remember. But I was definitely arguing over my grades. I wasn't showing off because I didn't know the right answers, that wasn't me. But some of these symptoms absolutely were me. And what was I thinking? I'm a good student, I'm smart. I'm one of the smartest people in school. I should be better at this. I shut down and I didn't care about the class. Shutting down could be a symptom of not seeking help. Over-reliance on help, those could be symptoms of an assumption that I'm not going to be good at something. I'm bad at math, I'm going to be bad at this. Or just paralysis, like, I can't make a decision, not seeking help. That could be, I don't know where to start. I'm lost, help me. So all of these different types, I'll call them failure mindsets. That's a derogatory term for them, right? All of these can be impacted by the growth mindset. You will get better at this if you keep working at it. That's the growth mindset. For a lot of students, if they've been involved in sports, you can make an exercise analogy. That's why I like this graphic, right? Like, think of this like, weightlifting. Think of this like practicing piano. There are things that kids know they have to practice at to get better. Take that and apply it to this. That's the growth mindset. So, I'm so excited about this. Do we have the 6 student mindsets prepared. I don't think we do. So we're going to have to write them down.
Is it possible to create kind of like a time capsule for students, so when they say at the beginning of the year that I'm never going to be good at this, I'm never going to understand loops, I'm just going to tell them that, okay, so write your name and date and this sentence in a paper, put it in a box, and we are going to open it in June?
You can do that, although not every student may kind of have that. But yeah, I love time capsules like that. Sorry, I just need to pull up.
So telling them that you are going to get this with enough practice, it's just a sentence, but if they actually see proof of it.
A modification I love to that is to actually take some of their work that you do maybe in Unit 1 or Unit 2, and then midway through the year where they're just all starting to hit that wall and they're shutting down, they're like, this is too hard, I can't do this. You go back and you show them some of their earlier work, and you be like, remember where we were in September? Look at where we are now. How did we get here? We learned. We practiced. We got better. This barrier you're facing now, we're going to overcome it too. It just takes some practice. But yeah, I love that idea of looking back in that time capsule. So, all right. So we are going, I love this. I told you acting, someone mentioned the good acting skills. We're going to be using some of those acting skills right now. You're going to work with your pod to create a short skit, a scene that you can act out. I know, ha 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 ha. A short skit that we're going to act out. We've got about 10 minutes to develop the skit, but the skit itself should just be 30 seconds or a minute. It's not long. In the skit, there should be a student. There should be a TA, maybe a classroom teacher. You can have as many characters as you want. You don't need everyone to have a role in the skit, but you're all involved in creating the skit. Okay? And your skit is going to be based on a student persona that we're going to assign to you in a moment. So you're going to think about that persona, and then think about how could we show this persona actually happening in class? What's a situation where this particular persona could happen? And then create a little story and come up with some dialogue. You know, where is this taking place, and those sorts of things. You have plenty of time to do it, and then we'll maybe have a couple groups share their skit. Make sure you focus on demonstrating what the students struggle. How does that mindset actually surface in the situation, and then how could the teacher or volunteer intervene to help redirect them towards a growth mindset? Okay, that's what we want to do. So what we're going to do is Lucia and Bashir come around, and they're going to give each pod a number. I believe between 1 and 6. So give each pod a number between 1 and 6. Once we're done that, wait here and we'll give you your scenarios. Go ahead. All right, every group have a number? Do you remember your number? All right, here are the personas, the student personas. I better zoom out a little bit. All right, so focus just on the one that your group was assigned. And now your group has 10 minutes to create a skit. Remember, the skit itself could just be 30 seconds, 45 seconds that illustrates the student displaying this mindset and how the instructors could get involved. That is a little small. We will make it bigger. I apologize. We just need to do You now have 10 minutes to come up with a skit with your class. If you need to come up and read, come up and read. Go.